Hey, so this would be my review of the TH-X00s by Massdrop. I think I'm going to start with the cons and go to the positives of these headphones. So, one of the reasons I think I'm going to end up trading these headphones is because as a glasses wearer, and my frames are pretty thick, so it's not like usual glasses, these are pretty thick framed glasses. The pads are a little bit stiff, so the pads and the clamp force end up like pushing my frames into my head, which is a problem I have with a lot of headphones. Um, and I feel like if you wore these enough so that the pads would be worn in a little bit and a little bit more cushy, then that wouldn't be an issue. But for me, they're a little bit uncomfortable, even though they're a very light pair of headphones. Um, it's just the fact that the pads are a little bit stiff upon initial use that makes them a little bit uncomfortable for me. In addition to that, because I think it's definitely in part to my glasses, these aren't the most isolating pair of headphones. Um, my glasses probably prevent them from getting a full seal, which would definitely help with isolation. But for me, these don't provide the kind of isolation that I was really hoping they would. They so, I mean, the reason I bought the closed back TH-X00 instead of another Fostex pair of headphones was because I was wanting the extra isolation that I thought I could provide. So I was a little bit disappointed with the amount of isolation it gives you. And then the last real con I have, which couldn't be a positive, is that these have a ton of bass. It's the most sub bass of any headphone I've ever heard. More, I think, than my LCD2. And honestly, it might be a little bit overwhelming for me personally. I feel like if you really love bass in your music, which a lot of people do, seeing as how popular Mr. Or Beats by Dre is. So I think that for me, these might have a little bit too much bass. And what happens with the too much bass in some songs that are like particularly bass heavy themselves is that it seems sometimes that the bass can wash into the mids. It doesn't happen always or even very often. So usually I find myself enjoying these greatly. But on particularly bass heavy songs, sometimes the bass can just be too much for me, I feel. Of course, some people love that, so it really depends on whether or not you really like bass in your music. Now on to the positive. So even though these are supposed to like emphasize bass, they have very decent highs and mids, which I wasn't expecting. When I bought these, I was kind of looking for the closed back sound signature. Or I was looking for a closed back headphone with the sound signature of the LCD2s, which is just all like low end and then recessed mids and highs. Although I wasn't really like looking forward to getting recessed mids. I just kind of wanted a low end emphasis headphone. And these do a surprisingly great job on the mids and highs. I was not expecting them to be as good as they are, since all I really read about with these headphones was the bass. It also is surprisingly detailed in the low end and mid and highs, which I mean, for the price, it's $400 new, so I guess I should have expected that to be more detailed, but it's more detailed than I expected as well. So I feel like these are like a really solid pair of headphones if you're looking for something with a lot of low end. If you were looking for something that's, I mean, like, while it has pretty good mids and highs for the price, it's definitely not where the emphasis on the headphone is placed. So if you were looking for mids and highs, the 6XX is definitely still where to go with that. But if you wanted to have a very fun pair of headphones, where you can jam out to bass heavy songs, and these are a great pair of headphones. They're definitely more fun, I think, than the 6XXs, but they don't necessarily have the vocal presence. So on some songs I think it's less enjoyable to listen to on these versus the 6XX, but in general these are definitely the more like time to jam, it's going to be fun. These are a fun pair of headphones. So if that's what you're looking at headphones, I highly recommend these. And they don't have like sharp highs either, which is great because I'm slightly high sensitive. So that's why LC2s are great for me, because it's almost impossible to get any kind of sibilant sound out of them. And these are very similar. I feel like the highs on these almost never get sibilant, and I thoroughly enjoyed the time we had with these. Thanks for watching. So this is like my third video ever, so if you would like to leave a comment trying to help me improve the channel, I would love to hear it, and I don't care how critical it is, I'd just like to improve what I can. Thank you.